Howdy folks, it's Colin here from CADfoundations.com and welcome to part 2 in our video series on AutoCAD Basics. So last time around we learned some fun new tools like the line tool, the circle tool, and the arc tool, as well as some modifiers like undo and erase. And today we're going to be looking at the rectangle tool, we're going to be looking at the trim and extend tools. We're going to be looking at object snaps, which are really overpowered, will really take your drawings to another level. And finally, we're going to be taking a look at the offset tool. So, last time around, we did use the line tool quite a bit, line. And we would draw little rectangles with that. So we would go 1, 1, enter, 2, 1, enter, 2, 2, enter, and 2, 1, and, whoops, sorry. Control Z, 1, 2, and C for close. And as you can see there, that took a minute. So there must be a quicker way, and there is a quicker way, and that is simply the rectangle tool. So with the rectangle tool, essentially, instead of having to type in several different coordinates, 4 to be precise, if you want something square or rectangular, you're just going to type in 2 sets of coordinates. So we will grab our first set of coordinates, which we've been starting with 1, 1. So why break the trend? And I want to make a 10 by 7 square. So let's go 11, 8. And there we go. We have our 10 by 7 rectangle, and we are looking pretty good here. Alrighty. So that time around, we made a rectangle using the defaults, which are absolute coordinates. We can also do these using, so we'll go 1, 1, and we will, again, we want to be making a 10 by 7 rectangle, so we will go @ symbol, 10, 7, enter, and that will yield the same result using relative coordinates. So instead of going directly to the absolute coordinates of 11, 8, we got there by typing in the coordinates we wanted. So relatives in the rectangle tool are infinitely more useful if you are starting, like, let's say, not from a known point. A lot more useful. Or if you're starting from some weird point with some crazy decimal, a lot more useful. We'll go ahead and get rid of that guy. That's about it with the rectangle tool. It is just a quick, dirty, and easy way to lay down some rectangles. So let's go ahead and draw ourselves a few random rectangles here. Oops. Make myself a little abstract art piece here. Okay, so I've got my little abstract art piece made out of a bunch of little squares. I think it looks kind of neat, but suddenly it popped into my brain like, oh, this is kind of a nifty little shape I've made here. Maybe I'd like to make a floor plan out of it. All I need to do now is get rid of these obnoxious little lines in the middle so I could see the perimeter of my shape. Well, that is just as easy said and as done with this tool here called the trim tool. So you grab it up here, or of course, like any tool, you could type in TRIM. Oh my goodness, it actually helps if you type it in correctly, believe it or not. And right here, basically, so what AutoCAD is doing is it is acknowledging that there is a point between these two lines that we want to get rid of. So we select that and it goes away. We have now trimmed away that line. So similar, and trimmed away the other one too. So similarly, we could do the exact same thing with this line here, or if we want to get rid of both of these at once, we can just sort of drag a sweeping movement through there. So if we want to like bang out a lot of these lines, we can just drag a big old swooping movement and crush those lines out. And before you know it, we have our external perimeter shape. And boy, was I wrong. That does that, in my opinion, would not make a great floor plan. So let's just erase that sucker and call it good. So the same thing can be said if we are intersecting, let's say, lines and round lines, or circles, let's say. So we'll once again grab our trim tool, and so we could cut off this section between the round lines, and we can cut off these outliers using the round lines. So we can kind of dial up something. Okay, yeah, there. Another little abstract art piece. I'm content. And yeah, that's the trim tool. Very, very powerful, depending on the drawing. Particularly if you don't necessarily know like you don't have a perfect diagram and you are just sort of drawing off the top of your head, a lot of times being able to trim things away and such is very convenient. Or it can often be used in unison with our next tool we're going to be going over, which is the offset tool. Or actually, I just told you a horrendous lie, because we are going to be instead going over the extend tool before we get into that. So the extend tool, it is hiding behind the trim tool by default, but you can grab it behind the trim tool, or like anything else, you can type in EXTE and get it that way. So let's say I've got a line out here, and I now want this line to be connected with this circle abstract art shape out here. If I type in EXT, or I just grab it from up here behind the trim tool, I can then go into type that, click on that line, and it will extend. I'll click on it again and it'll extend to the next line. And you'll notice that AutoCAD is smart enough to know that, like, oh, I don't need to, extend it eternally this way. I know he wants to extend to the next known point. So extend to the next known point. And then now there is no known point beyond this. So if I scroll over it, it just gives me a, I don't know what you're talking about. So we could go ahead and extend these guys, and hey, we match this little fella back up to where it was. And yeah, that is in essence the extend tool. So let's go ahead and let's get rid of all of these guys, and then let's bring back our friend from earlier. Let's bring back our 10 by, what was it? 10 by 7 rectangle. Okay, so apparently on some sort of little like abstract art thing right now. So I'm going to keep going with that. So up top here, the little U shape, sideways U shape inside of another sideways U shape, that is our offset tool. Or like always, you can type in OFF enter and that will also bring it up. So before you go ahead and click on anything, you can click randomly. I just made a random offset distance there, but that usually isn't a good idea. So let's escape from that. And the first thing you're going to want to do, so that random distance I had was 3.6955. Typically we want to have a known distance. There are certainly use cases where you do want, say you're measuring something unknown, but you want to offset that distance. There is use cases for it, but more often than not, we do want to use a known offset. So for this, let's do an offset of, let's just do an offset of 1. And now we can click here on our rectangle, and we could click either indoors or outdoors of that rectangle, and that will give us an offset that is, there's 1 between the lines at all points. Similarly, we could do it indoors and keep going indoors. See, now it only gives me the option of going indoors because there's already lines outdoors. And if I click that, nothing could happen because there's not enough space on the inside to offset that. So, combining that with a few tools here, let's combine that with a new tool here. We have plenty of midpoints on these lines. I could get them. I know that distance. I know I could go 1.1 and then go 5 over and find the midpoint that way, but it's a lot easier to allow AutoCAD to do that math for us. And it will if we go down here to the bottom and we grab O snaps or object snaps. It's this on the very bottom, it's this little square with a little blue square on I'm colorblind. I think that's an orange square on top of it. So we're going to go ahead and click that. And then if we use the little arrow right next to it, we can decide what snaps we want. Right now, everything is by default because it's a new computer. I just installed AutoCAD on here. And I had stated earlier that I wanted midpoints. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on midpoint and that'll give me those. So now that I have my O snaps on and I have extension, which will allow you to go out from a line, intersections or potential intersections, midpoints, endpoints, and center. That's a pretty good slate of defaults. All of these become useful at different points. And once you start using O snaps quite a bit, you are a lot of times going to have to toggle things on and off. Like, for example, whenever I'm using tangents and I'm trying to, just find something tangential to the circle, I pretty much have to turn everything else off because AutoCAD pretty much wants to pick everything else under the sun before it lets me do a tangent. So yeah, kind of find what works for you in your specific use case for what you are doing at the moment. For what we're going to be doing right here, what I've got set up right here is going to do just fine. So I'm going to once again grab my line tool. And I'm just going to chop a line right down the middle. So with O snaps, a triangle represents a midpoint and a box represents an endpoint. So I'm going to go all the way down here to the bottom. And then pretty much what it shows in here is what it is, other than midpoints. Like tangent looks just like that. Extension is a dashed line. But midpoints, for some reason, it doesn't show you the little triangle. But it's a little triangle, as you saw. And yeah, now let's just get kind of funky and let's just trim some of these away. Why not? Just have a little bit of fun with this. And yeah, little funky, little abstract bit. Why not? Get rid of some of these maybe. Kind of make something I think is nifty looking. And yay, fun little thing. Yeah, at any rate, just messing with the tools, just having fun, because drafting can be fun. But while we're having fun, it's good to use the tools and actually use them in a directed manner. So let's actually pull up a nice easy drawing for us. Oops. Which I so happen to have a few of those right here. And if you want to try this on your own instead of following along with me, you could go to our website at cadfoundations.com and go to the AutoCAD's Basic Lessons 1 through 6, and you can just grab this file and give it a go on your own, learning using the tools we've already kind of gone through. But if you do want to follow along with me, please do, and I'll try to help us get this done the easiest way possible. So I have a couple of circles that looks like they're offset. I have a bunch of offset squares, a right triangle that kind of kisses the edge of that square, and then like a half an arrow looking shape over there. And I have all the known points. I have enough to go ahead and get started here. So let's do just that. And we'll start out with this triangle here. So my first known point is 3, 4. And then I can go straight down. So I'll go at 1.5 at an angle of 9. Whoa, that is not correct. We're not going up, we're going down at an angle of 270. And we are also, since that's a 90-degree angle and a 45 angle, we know that that other side has to be 1.5 as well. So we'll go ahead and go at 1.5 at an angle of 0, because 0 is going straight from left to right. And then we could just hit C for close, and that gets our little triangle taken care of. And we're looking pretty good here so far. Just zoom in so we can see nice and easily. And what do we have next? So we have a triangle starting at 5.5 and 4.5. And then that distance is 2. We'll minus 0.5 twice. So looks like we're going one to the north and 1 to the west. Okay. Okay. So we can get that done. So 5.5 and 4.5. Well, we'll grab our rectangle tool here and we'll go 5.5, 5.5, comma, 4.5, enter. And then we'll go at -1 because we are going from right to left, and 1, and comma 1 because we're going straight up. Okay. And then we know that we have our offsets. And the cool thing with rectangles is, so let me just use this for example. So we know we're going to be using 0.5 offsets. With the rectangle, if I just click, it offsets the whole rectangle as once. Whereas if there's individual lines, I have to pick them all individually. And obviously I don't want to do that. And then we knew that there was 2 offsets, right? Yes. Okay. So we will offset this one more time, and that should make a nice, perfect little kissing up on our little right triangle there. So our offsets are still on 0.5 and we are good to go. And then let's get our little circle down. So that is 3/6 and a diameter of 1. So that'll be a radius of a half. So we'll grab our circle, 3,6, enter. And the diameter is going to be 0.5, enter. And we're going to keep using circles. And now that I have my O-snaps on, I can click here. Or I could have just typed in 3.6, either way. And now I want a radius of 1. Cool. So let's go ahead and grab our trim tool. And we just want to get rid of these square edges here, right? Okay, and that's looking pretty good. Last thing we have is our little half arrow shape over here. So that starts at 10,7. We're going to go at 4 at an angle of 270. We're going to go, this distance here is 1, so we're going to go at 1 at an angle of 180. And then one straight up. So at 1, angle 90. We're going to go a half to the right. So at 1, angle of 0. And then 2 up. Oh, whoops, that was at 0.5, angle 0. And then at 2, angle 90. And then at 1, angle 180. And close it up. So yeah, we are looking pretty good here. Everything looking pretty nice. And then just for funsies, one last little added challenge. I just sort of threw this down here just to have fun. So let's go ahead, and this is just an exercise in using the trim and the trim and the extend tool. So let's go ahead and grab our trim tool. It looks like we want to trim tool. Looks like we want to get rid of these angles here. Let's escape that. We want to grab our extend tool. We want to extend that to that. Oops. Oh, sorry, not extrude. Extend. Definitely a different command. We're going to grab that guy, this guy, and this guy. And then go back to our trim tool. And I want to get rid of that. Get rid of this right here. Sorry, one more extend, which is going to be this. And trimming of these two. And yeah, we've got our cool, neat little shape. We got our cool, neat little shape done. But yeah, hope you guys had fun following along with me. I hope some of you switched it off and gave it a go on your own. And if you couldn't figure it out, came back and followed along with us. But yeah, thank you ever so much for watching. And for more exercises like this, visit us at cadfoundations.com. And yeah, hope you have a great day. Cheers.